And today we are talking about a subject that's very dear to my heart: networking. What are we without networking, really? It's how we get to know each other. I love networking. My personality does not really flourish in the area of networking, but hey, I am getting better. So today I'm looking forward to a very exciting conversation with you guys. And the conversation we are having today is the art of networking, and I will be talking about building bridges. So my name is Whitney Mwangi. It is my pleasure and my honor. This is dear to my heart because networking really is the center of moving from one point to another, and hence the topic I will be tackling today: building bridges. This is the Storybook Africa. For those who are new on the platform, we are a creative social enterprise that really started as a storytelling platform, but we've now expanded. We provide opportunities for writers, paid opportunities for writers. We provide a platform for people who develop digital products to sell their content online to youth in Africa or even abroad. The main aim is to, one, promote healing, growth, and development for young Africans, and also promote entrepreneurship, or a means of gaining livelihood, because wellness goes hand in hand with being financially stable and having a sense of purpose. So that's what the Storybook Africa is about. We focus on African youth 18 to 35, but it does not limit us because we have lots of categories. In some categories, we focus on people who are beyond or above age of 35, so they can speak and minister to the young people. So welcome. Please be sure to look at our pages so that you can identify opportunities that would be relevant to you and that you can share with your friends and your neighbors. And I am the founder of the Storybook Africa. And to just begin, bridges. When you hear bridges, what comes to mind? For me, I think of crossing over. I think the most beautiful bridge I've been on is the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh my goodness. During the sunset, it's such a wonderful sight. It's such a sight to behold. When I think of the concept of crossing over, the first thing that comes to mind is trust. Building bridges, for me, if I can sum it up, is a conversation about building trust. Because for you to be a bridge and for anyone to establish a connection with you, to network and build a relationship, it really is an attestament of trust. And most of the times, of course, yes, trust takes time to build. However, there are some things that count in the beginning. First impression: how do you look? What are you doing? What are you saying? How intentional do you seem, and what is really going on? I find that men tend to network faster. I don't know why. Some of my friends say that women, we get into the little nitty-gritties of like looking at each other, what is she wearing, and men get right into the business. But however that looks like, I think the fundamental is someone getting a sense that they can trust you and they can work with you. So as I was reading about this topic, I came across some really interesting facts. So in the 1990s, there is a very brilliant gentleman. His name was David Billington. He studied at the Princeton University. So he defined 3 principles of a good bridge. And 1, efficiency; 2, economy; and 3, elegance. And efficiency, he looks at the concept of the materials that are used. And then when it comes to economy, he looked at the cost and the time. When it comes to elegance, he looked at the slenderness and the good proportion, basically the outlook. Let's start with efficiency of materials. When I think of how you apply this to networking as a person, who are you? What is the essence of you? Because when it comes to networking, I've talked about trust in the beginning. And what trust is all about is simply, what is the sense that I'm getting from you? What is your interest in this conversation? Why are you on the platform, and etc. If I can give an example of how I transitioned into my role, for those of you who don't know, I currently lead health policy and advocacy and communication at the Health Directorate of the African Union Commission, besides being the founder of the Storybook Africa. And I was previously at an organization called the Global Health Strategies. There are many ways of getting into the African Union, and one of them is called secondment. And secondment is where an external organization hires you or pays your salary to support the main organization. So at the time, I was being seconded or funded by the United Nations Foundation. During my interview into the AU, one of the ladies who was leading the interview was a lead partner of a major health advocacy and policy account in my previous organization. So because we had worked together and they were already aware of my work, it counted in validating everything that I was saying. I did not have to overcompensate. I did not have to overdo it. So that was very helpful for me transitioning into this. And then once I got inside the AU with this platform that I was on, after a year or two, I think, the UN Foundation could no longer support the programming, or they could no longer work with us as they were. So it was time for us to either go home or get transitioned to another seconding partner. So what ended up happening is that because my boss had a relationship with someone from a different organization, for those of you who are in the development space, you might have heard of the Global Fund to End AIDS, TB, and Malaria. Because he had a relationship with them, they had a conversation and they agreed to provide a grant that is going to support our salaries and our programs. So neither of us, for me and my colleagues, neither of us had to re-interview for the positions. We simply moved to another portfolio, and that provided an opportunity, a bridge for us to now work with an organization that has a global domain. Here's the great and wonderful part: to renegotiate for our salaries and terms. Efficiency is very important, because if we were not good at our jobs, our boss, he could have decided to just let us go. They could have decided to say, and we do see this happening every time, where people say, we don't have enough due to funding unavailability, we're not going to continue with you, and they let you go. But that was that part. And then because my boss at the time had a good relationship with the other organization, he was able to negotiate for a way bigger grant. It was almost maybe triple in thousands of dollars. So that was helpful. We were able to continue. So this is for me to say that the quantity, the substance, how efficient you are is very important. And I look at it from a cross-cutting perspective, because there is mental wellness, there is, emotional, financial, spiritual, professional, all this. And for me, this is a daily practice, because I show up in a way that reflects the inner me. If I've already taken care of myself, I'm looking at where am I, what's really going on. Let's even professionally, what is the field asking of me? Am I able to provide that? What are my strengths, my weaknesses? How can I show up in this particular activity, opportunity, event in the best way that maximizes on my strengths and minimizes the weaknesses, or even seeks to improve my weakness. Point number 2, economy, the cost and the time. So when it comes to economy, our great gentleman who I referred to at the beginning from Princeton, Mr. Billington, he looks at it from the perspective of cost and time. Now, if I can give the example of the Storybook Africa. So earlier this year, during International Women's Day, and that entire week, that's in March, the beginning of March, we had a very wonderful simulation event at the United Nations complex in Gigiri in partnership with the Kenya Model United Nations. So for those who are not familiar with this field of work, it's basically young people being introduced or presented to that environment of the UN, the debates, the seminars, how they talk about global development issues and how they defend the issues as diplomats or representatives, etc. And it was a wonderful time. It was good for us because we were able to meet with young people, expand our networks. We were able to meet with very many organizations. However, while I was there, I was balancing an act of, meeting with young people, trying to be with the partners, being here and there, and then I'm home. I'm in Kenya, and usually I stay in Ethiopia. So you can imagine trying to move around and do all that. And I could obviously not be there every day. And that ends up limiting my availability as I would. So I network with those that I could, and at some point I remember telling myself I need to prioritize who I need to see and what I need to do and where I need to be, because I cannot be everywhere doing everything at the same time. And this is very important because sometimes we end up missing opportunities, which did end up happening at the Storybook event, because yes, we talked to many people, but there's some conversations, some people that we met that the conversation ended up falling off because we did not have enough time to interact, get to know each other, and build a rapport where I can pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, we have a Storybook event coming up. Are you available? Can we chat? etc. It did happen for some, but it did not happen for others. So what are you willing to lose and what are you willing to gain? How can you make sure you invest the time and make sure that, you know, you are on track, you're right where you need to be, and you have the right energy? I do consider myself to be introverted, so I don't have that much energy to just be dispensing all the time. So this really counts to me because I have to make sure that, you know, I have enough energy to interact and engage, and I'm just alive and awake and bursting. Does that make sense? Does that apply to you? Do let me know. I know we have a mix of people. We have the extroverts, the ambiverts. So do let us know, what are the tips that you use to just make sure that you're upbeat and you're able to be available and you manage your cost and your time. Because, for example, to participate at the Kenya Model United Nations event, we had to provide money. We had to provide money for the branding. It was phenomenal. I had my team there. I was happy. It was good, family, networking and all that, but it requires funding. So you as a founder of an organization, for those who are running, how does that look for you? Are you able to afford that? If you end up paying so much to be at an event, you dress so well, you start getting anxious and wondering, oh my God, what happened? Is this enough? Did I invest as I needed to be? So all these things are thoughts that I have while, you know, during these events, and so it matters to me. Yeah. And then lastly, I would like to talk about the elegance bit now. Ladies and gentlemen, elegance. When I think about elegance in terms of building bridges and in terms of the outward look for you as a person, how you show up. I like to dress up, but I understand for some people, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and that will look different for other people. The most important thing is for you to be comfortable. Are we talking about t-shirt and jeans, you know, smelling good, hygiene, you've shown up? I'm telling you, sometimes we're in international conferences and you can tell that this person did not take a shower today. For whatever reason, they decided to not do this thing. They just did not do it. And people will not tell you anything, but for sure it does not work for you. So when people say that physical appearance is a small thing, but it's not. How you take care of yourself is a reflection of you on the inside, and it's also going to impact your confidence, how you show up, your pose, your poise, how you present yourself and all that. And it counts, it matters, because guys, you know, when you're confident, the way you speak, there's no stopping you. I am the beginning and the end. So it works for me, and I always try to make sure that I'm comfortable first, so that all the attention is going to the right places. There's a lady who's now been appointed as climate ambassador, and she went to meet Antonio Guterres of the UN. I think she's the youngest ambassador. I thought she was, I don't know, maybe 19 or 17 at the time. And you know, climate change is now a big issue. But when she posted the conversation she was having, no one was paying attention to the conversation anymore, because she was in this spaghetti. I think it was even a crop top and a really short skirt. Not to say that it means they did not have an important conversation, but it draws the attention away from what you're actually doing. So this will apply to different people in different ways. Just make sure that this actually suits the environment and you're empowered to show up with elegance and confidence and in a way that people can take you seriously. And this really should not be an age issue, an experience issue, because sometimes we are too much in our head. I'll give you an example of the first job I ever got as a project manager. I was 23 and this was my first UN job. I was really excited, but hey, super intimidated. So I was managing a program called Artists for Refugees, and basically it deals with young people from Nairobi, Dadaab and Kakuma former refugee camps who create art and music. And what they would do is sell their art and we would help them but manage the programming aspect. So I was handling communication, advocacy, finance, all the things you say that you can do on your CV. I was on it. And initially I thought that there was going to be other members of the team, or rather I understood there would be support, only to get there and realize there is not that support. I need to be everything. So I remember this time we were running closer to the end of the budgeting cycle, and then my boss at the time decided that she's going to invite everyone into the budget meeting with UNHCR. Friends, had I ever defended a budget? No. So we were all going to defend our budgets and explain why we need them. I was proposing the idea of having a graduation ceremony for the young people because we'd done all the work, but we were coming to the end of that program, so that group that was studying. And so I was proposing to have a graduation ceremony, a big art gallery exhibition at Nairobi. It's called Alliance Francaise for those who know that establishment, and then award them, something new that will give them affiliation and a home to feel that they were a part of something, even as they go back to the refugee camps. So I needed to defend this. So I get there and I think that my boss is going to introduce the conversation and say, this is how it goes, etc. and blah, blah, blah. But she did not do that. So when it got to my part, she just looked at me and she said, Whitney, I believe you understand how you want this to play out. Please defend the budget. Now, but the lady who was there, she was always known to be so tough. So you can imagine all the nerves that I had on. But in the moment, I said to myself that, if my boss invited me here, it's surely not a test so that she can watch me fail. She had the opportunity to say, I see she's young, they may look down upon her, not take her seriously, and they may decide, let her go. So let me give her the opportunity. And guys, you would not believe, I just went with the flow, and you would not believe it. I am the only one who got funding from that meeting. And so I think it really matters how you feel, how the relationship you have with your people. Just to say that it's important when you put in the necessary aspects of making sure that you're confident and you understand what you're asking for, why it's going there, why are you there to network, and why is it you? Why should they put their trust in you? Yeah, so I'll stop there. I hope my stories were inspiring. I hope I articulated myself clearly. And the art of networking through building bridges, we've talked about 1, your efficiency. How good are you? Who are you? And what do you bring to the table? How good are you? Why should we trust you? And then 2, effectiveness. Yes, in terms of cost and time. And then 3, your elegance. How do you show up? So basically it's the what, the who, the when, and the how. Every opportunity is going to come through, whether we like it or not. So it may be that a good time to just forgive, let go, get it together, and just make sure that you open to people so they can open doors, and you can also be an open door to others. So that's that. I wish to end there. I can see a question from Mutheo. While networking, what's your go-to starting phrase? Wow, starting phrase like introduction. For me, I like to keep it natural. When you're being strange, and then, because we're thinking about a lot of things, we are coming with a lot of experiences and background. So when you're not natural, it may seem like you're not being genuine, and it will not help. So I always try to be natural. Hey, hi, my name is Whitney. I do this. And depending on who I'm meeting, sometimes some people, they are like, you just need to be a serious face and a handshake and like both names and full title. So it really depends. But one thing I think I'm strong at is really reading the room and just a lot of discernment. It makes it easier for me what is really going on, and I can quickly adjust to what is required of me. And I think it's very important because sometimes we end up just not doing the right thing. I remember we once went for a cocktail event. It was an event organized by the UK embassy to Addis Ababa, and then one of the guys that we were with, the ambassador, came to our table to say hi, and the guy just jumped on the ambassador and hugged him. I was like, and we could all see that the ambassador was looking uncomfortable. He's even moving back, but the guy keeps moving. It keeps moving forward. And people were having wine and all that, but you don't want to find yourself in those kinds of situations, because they may not take you seriously after that, especially as a young person, unfortunately. So it's just acceptance of what's happening and be natural. If you don't like the person, just make sure it doesn't come up. When you're networking, is not the time to start reminding people how they offended you, how you've been reaching out to them and they never got back to you, how you think they're a snob. No, that does not work. And people do that. Personally, I would not go there. I would just say why I appreciate what you do, why you have my attention, and how I can see us collaborating. So that's that. Okay, so just to say thank you so much for giving me your evening. It's been a true pleasure just sharing my nuggets and experiences with you. I do receive questions sometimes from through Whitney at whitneymwangi.com. So if you have more questions, if you think of anything, just feel free to drop them on my email and share them with me, or send to the DMs of the storybook and the team will take care of it, and they will be sure to let us know. Yeah, do enjoy your evening. Yeah, and take care. Thank you.
So that's our story. What's yours? Be sure to connect with us on social media.